All right, I think we will go ahead and get started here. Welcome everybody to How To Tuesday, the 30-minute webinar series hosted by the Park University Library. My name is Camille Cook. I'm your instruction and outreach librarian, and I am here to talk to you guys a little bit today about time management. If you have never joined us for our How To Tuesday series, this series gives you a little bit of information about student success skills, either focused on research or different departments around campus to give you a little look about how to be successful here at college. We are so glad to provide this for students and assist them in their academic journey. Again, my name is Camille. I am going to be talking about time management today because I know that this can be a really tough thing for a lot of students. And so I'm hopeful that this presentation will give you some tips and tricks and things that will hopefully allow you to be successful as you begin to think about how you can reorganize and reframe what you know to be true about your time management style and how you can continue to improve upon that. So today we're going to spend some time talking about the art of prioritization as well as time management. We're going to talk about some resources that are available to help you here at the Park University Library. And then I'll have some time for question and answers. If you're joining us live, welcome. If you are joining us on replay, which many, if not most of you probably are, welcome. Thanks for watching back on replay. You can always, of course, email me any questions that you have. If you are watching back and are not live, I'm happy to answer those for you. So just as a heads up. Okay. So the art of prioritization, I actually want to start here, right? I want to start here because I want to challenge you guys because I don't think that a lot of students really have a time management problem, right? You can manage your time. You can get to class, you can get to work, you can get your kids to class and work, you can get the things that you need to do done. I think where we really struggle often is prioritization and understanding how to prioritize the various tasks that we must complete in order to be successful, right? Because it's really difficult and there isn't a black and white or cut and dry way of doing it, right? Ultimately, everyone's different priorities are going to look different. I might have different priorities than you, and you might have different priorities than your neighbor or than another classmate or than your other instructors, right? And that all depends on your life stage and your life priorities, right? So all of that is really variable. So it's almost hard to articulate what are our priorities. And so that kind of enters the art of prioritization. So I would almost wager, instead of saying I have a time management problem, I think that a lot of students have a prioritization problem, right? Because they can get themselves up in the morning, they can get themselves to class. The fact is they sometimes don't prioritize getting to class, right? The fact is that they know that they can do their homework, right? They have time in the day, but they don't prioritize getting that homework done. Or there is something else in their life that takes a higher priority. Their child who needs to be fed and clothed and diapers changed, and their work life that has deadlines and must, come first because that's what takes priority and precedent because that's what pays the bills. Those two things have a higher priority than the schoolwork, and we get that. But how can we take how can we, instead of painting it in black and white, right, like family, work are a higher priority than school, how can we instead begin to prioritize in a more artful way where we can begin to think about tasks and priorities in a much more complex way? So instead of thinking about your priorities as kind of hierarchical, I want you to start thinking about the different tasks that you have to do and how we can prioritize those individual tasks. And the framework that I'm going to introduce to you guys is this urgent and important matrix, right? This urgent versus important matrix. And this is a really good framework for prioritization because this is going to allow you to think about some different ways to think about tasks, right? So if I just did it in these buckets, right? If I think about my work bucket, my family bucket, and my academic or school bucket, that's not really helpful, right? If I just said work, well, work is both urgent and important. Family is both urgent and important, and school is both urgent and important. So that's really not that helpful. Instead, what I want you to think about is think about all of the demands, or think about all of the obligations you have on your time that are adding up, or that piling on. And think about how you can classify each of those demands or each of those tasks into this matrix. And that can kind of help you with that prioritization. So we're going to kind of walk through this matrix here. You can see along the top and along the left-hand side, we have urgent versus not urgent, and then less important versus important. And you can see that across here and across here. So we have 4 different boxes, or 4 different buckets here. The first one is the overlap between urgent and important. And when a task is both urgent and important, we should do it now, right? That makes total sense. But when something is not urgent and important, this can be a very finicky category, right? Because I think a lot of times when we put something as a really high importance, we also feel sometimes anxiety to get it done, right? This is really, really important, so I got to get it done. It kind of like festers in us, right? But really what we actually say when it comes to time management and prioritization is it would be helpful to actually make this a priority by scheduling this in your week and scheduling a time for it, rather than trying to rush through it or trying to get through it really quickly and try and get it done, because it's really important, but it's not urgent. Another tricky category is our urgent but less important tasks, right? Those things that pop up that need to be done right now, or so we think. They're urgent, but they're less important, right? So we sometimes have to think about, okay, this feels really urgent, but is it, right? Is it actually that urgent? And if it's less important than the urgent and important category, how can we schedule some time in the next few weeks to tackle that? Is right. That should be your lower priority items. So we have one more bucket or one more category here, and that's our eliminate category, because sometimes we have to let go of things. We can't do everything. We physically cannot do everything that we set out to do and that we want to do. So it takes prioritization to say, I have to eliminate something. I have to let something go. I cannot do all of this. And those should be those tasks or those areas of your life that are not urgent and less important. That doesn't mean you can never go back to them, or doesn't mean that you have to let them go forever. But it does mean that right now they're not your highest priority, and that prioritization can help eliminate that, or help make that really clear. So I'm going to practice with these, right? I'm going to read a couple scenarios so we can kind of think about where we would put this on our matrix, right? All right, so the first one is, I'll give us kind of a softball, right? All right. So your friends have given you an invitation to they've invited you out to go get Taco Bell tonight at 11 p.m., right? Sounds really fun. I'm really craving Taco Bell right now. So clearly, as I was writing these, I was influenced by that. I would kind of classify that as urgent, but less important, right? They've invited you now, so they need an answer, and they want you to go relatively soon, right? In the next couple hours. But we know that when we're thinking about time management, we're thinking about prioritization, I got a lot of stuff. I personally need to wrap up my work here today. I need to go home and make dinner for my family. I have to teach a class tonight, right? I have some work to do tonight. I know that I have some laundry to fold, right? Personally, I also find that it's important and urgent for me that I want to connect with my husband, and I want to hear about how his day was, right? How his day at work was. So all of these things are things that I'm thinking through. So when I'm thinking about this, maybe my response to this would be, this is going to go in my low priority quadrant. I'm going to schedule time in the next few weeks to tackle it. So maybe I'm going to say, you know what? I can't go tonight, but Friday I'm free. I'm doing nothing. So do you guys want to go hang out and go to the movie theater on Friday? We can go catch a movie, right? Thinking about it in that way can help us, again, prioritize. I don't have time for it tonight because I have all these other things that are going to take priority, but this is still something that I would enjoy, right? So it's less important, but that doesn't mean I need to eliminate it. Another one is you have a chemistry exam on Friday, right? I have a chemistry exam. This would kind of fall into our schedule category, right? It is not urgent because today's Tuesday. It's not happening tomorrow, but it is really important. So we need to make this a priority this week, right? So how could I make this a priority? I could schedule time into my schedule. So I know that tonight I'm teaching a class, but Wednesday night, I'm going to block off 3 hours in the evening. And Thursday, I'm going to take my lunch break and I'm going to study during my lunch break. And Friday morning, I have a few hours in the morning. I'm going to do some last minute studying and I'm going to take my exam that afternoon, right? So we're going to actually take our schedule, our weekly schedule, and we're going to put that into our schedule. We're not going to just hope it happens. We're going to schedule that in, right? Because we've determined that this is not urgent, but it is important. So you can kind of see the difference between these two quadrants. This one I'm actually scheduling. This one I said, oh, it's less important, so maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, right? This one was a top priority for us. Another one that we can think through is, I really want to get a workout at the gym. Okay, is that urgent? And is it important, right? This answer to that question might be different for different people. For me, maybe it is urgent and it's important. Maybe for someone else, it's important, but it's not urgent, right? This is kind of what you are going to prioritize. Another great example is my car registration needs to be renewed by the 31st. Well, it's the 24th right now, right? If you're watching this on replay, we have about a week until the 31st, right? One more week. My car registration needs to be renewed. That's pretty urgent, and I would say that's relatively important, right? If I don't get that process started, I could get a ticket and that could really snowball. So maybe I need to do it now. Maybe I need to take 5 minutes and just get that off my plate. That matrix of do it now, right? That's a relatively easy task. So maybe I sit down and I say, okay, I'm going to send in my car registration paperwork and payment, and I'm going to get that done so that I can have that off my plate. Something like, oh, I want to research potential internships for the summer, right? Where would that fall in the matrix? My mom's birthday is 2 weeks from now. I really need to send her a card in the mail. Where would that fall in the matrix? There's a new video game out that I really want to try out. Where would that fall in the matrix? Thinking through this is really going to help you develop that prioritization. And I have this list of these different scenarios that are in our resources guide. So I'll put that link, that link is in the chat right now, but it's also, it'll also be in the description of this video. So if you're watching this back on replay, feel free to visit that and think through these. Where would you put these in this prioritization matrix? Because this is going to help you think through these things. Okay. So again, I don't think students really have a huge time management problem. I think they have a prioritization problem. And maybe that's a hot take, right? Maybe that's something that you haven't really thought a lot about. So start to think, what am I prioritizing? How am I prioritizing it? And do I struggle with prioritization? Do I struggle to know, okay, these two things feel really important, but this one is due tomorrow and this one is due in a month, right? So which one should I do? That ability to make a distinction there, that ability to make a decision on what you're going to work on, that's kind of hard, right? That's something we have to develop. And this time where you have to have all of these different competing priorities, no matter what phase of life you're in, can be really challenging. So this is what we want to help you with. All right, so now I promise I'm not doing a bait and switch. I really will talk a little bit about time management now. So My biggest recommendation for students of all kind is to keep some kind of a planner or agenda or weekly schedule or something. I know that this is like the most age-old advice, but I promise you, if you give it a try for a week or 2 weeks and see how much you're getting done, right? Whether it's a daily schedule or a weekly schedule, there's free templates online. You can Google them. If you're a paper person, you can keep a paper calendar. If you like digital, you can keep a Google Calendar. Every Park student has a Google email address, so you can use Google Calendar for free. You can also integrate that with your personal Google account if you have one of those. So all of this is really relatively easy to access. But the thing I like about this is it really allows you to, one, again, prioritize. So if you see on this template that I pulled here, it says priorities. What are you prioritizing today, right? What's on your to-do list? What is your big things that you need to get done today, right? Because your to-do list could be really long, but if you could only get done 3 things, what should they be? What is urgent and important? And once you get those off the list, you can start to think, okay, what's important but not urgent? And what's urgent but not important that I could start to think through? You could also think about weekly goals, weekly plans, weekly schedules, right? All of this is going to be really important. I'm always amazed at how many students don't rely on a weekly schedule or even a semester schedule. They aren't keeping track of their assignments when they're due or anything like that. Make a plan for the semester. When are your assignments due in your classes? You should have syllabi, you should have schedules of when all of the assignments in your classes are due. You can see that on Canvas, right? Start planning ahead so that you know, okay, October is going to be a really busy month, so I better get all of my ducks in a row. I know my car registration is due in October, and I know my mom's birthday is in October. So I'm going to do both of those things before October hits because I know that school is going to get really chaotic, right? So again, thinking the big picture. If in August you take a look at your whole school schedule and you say, okay, October is going to be a really, really busy month. I'm going to have 3 exams and a midterm and a big term paper, right? That's a lot and that's overwhelming. So how can you talk to the people who are in your support networks? How can you collaborate, ask for help? All of that is going to help you with your time management, and all of that is going to contribute to your success. We also know that procrastination is a huge part of time management, right? And we know that students don't like go out and like try to procrastinate. They don't like love procrastinating. In fact, I know that a lot of students actually really hate that they procrastinate and hate when they do it and feel like shame and guilt when they procrastinate because it doesn't feel good, right? It feels bad. If you look at this graph I have here, that was taken from our library guide, you start here at this like middle threshold of pain. The higher you go up, the more painful it is, the more anxiety you're feeling, the worse it feels. If you start here and you procrastinate, the more and more and more you go, the worse it feels, right? We know this. And then you get to a point where you have to take action. And then when you take action, eventually you start to feel the relief from taking that action. But we know also that the motivation does not kick in if you start at this point A, right? If you're procrastinating, and then you start taking action right here, and then all of a sudden you're taking action. If this is the point where you actually start taking action, you probably don't feel motivated to take action until about here, right? We know that it takes a little while of you actually doing the thing you don't want to do until you're motivated to do it. So that can be really hard, right? A lot of times you have to push past that procrastination and push past that lack of motivation in order to get over the hump. So we know that that's hard, but one thing that you can do, again, is scheduling that time in. If you know you have an exam in biology on Friday, schedule that time in, schedule your week, schedule that time so that you know that you have that dedicated time, and be aware of this and have compassion for yourself, but also push yourself to be better and to be aware of this. All right, before we jump into Q&A, I do want to show you, let's see here. I want to show you our time management library guide. And this library guide has lots of different resources about time management and how you can continue to support this effort of improving your time management, about prioritizing tasks, organizing your time effectively. This prioritization matrix is in here as well. Yes, and additionally, you can plan your time, you can maximize your ability to focus. There's lots of resources in here. There's videos, there are apps and tools, all kinds of stuff in here. And if you're really struggling, I also want to tell you that we have tutors and support services for you. So if we have mentors and tutors, if you are struggling, this is completely free. I know it feels difficult to think, oh, I have to add another thing to my to-do list to meet with a tutor to do these things, but this can really be a turning point for you and a support for you. So if you feel like you need that, please reach out to us. We are happy to set you up with a tutor or a mentor for this, and you can do that through the Academic Success Center. They do take appointments virtually, so you can schedule that all online. You can do that through their Academic Success Center tutoring portal. And once that loads, you could go to Mentors, Parkville, Gilbert, or Online Mentors, and schedule it that way. Another page I want to show you also is procrastination. We do have a guide on that, weekly schedule templates, assignment task checklist, and then we also have a guide on stress management, because if you're procrastinating or if you are feeling out of control with time management, you're probably going to feel pretty stressed about it. So we do have these resources as well, and we're happy to support you with that. All right, so I'm going to go back to our slides and I'm going to pull up my contact information for you guys. I'm happy to take any questions that we have here. I know we don't have a whole lot of folks on the call, but if you are watching this back on replay, you can email me at camille.cook@park.edu, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. You can also schedule an appointment with me. The link is on the screen right here, or you can email us at library.park.edu. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or to write it in the chat right now. I'll give us just a couple minutes to see if there's any questions. Okay. All right. Well, if you guys, again, have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to work with you. But otherwise, we will see you next week for our How To Tuesday. Very special. It's on Halloween. So please join us for How To Tuesday next week. It will be all about our research guides and our library guides, how to conduct research here at the Park University Library. And it will be hosted by one of our other wonderful librarians, Anna Cardy. So you won't want to miss it. You can register for that at library.park.edu. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.